to the young and young at heart. I just love Play-Doh, don't you? It's great fun to squish and mould, and when you make a mistake, you can always just squish it back up into a ball and start again. I recently had a lot of fun playing with Play-Doh and using it to retell one of my favourite Bible stories, the story of Joseph. Our story starts with Joseph living with his family in Canaan. His life got off to a perfectly normal start, raised by his father, his mother, and his father's other 3 wives.
Wait, what?
Alongside his 1 sister and his 11 brothers. Joseph's home life was made harder because his mum died and his father treated him better than all of his brothers, making them pretty jealous of him. They got so angry about it that they even considered killing him, but instead sold him as a slave to some travellers. From a sheltered life as the favourite child, Joseph spent the next few years of his life as a slave in Egypt, far from home. Even though it was really not fair and very, very difficult, he worked hard and really impressed his slave master. But just as things were starting to look up, he was falsely accused of a crime and sent to prison. As a prisoner, life was even worse than it had been as a slave, but he kept his wits about him and made the best of this new life. Even in prison, no one who spent any time with him could say a bad word against him. By what can only be described as a miracle, a fellow prisoner who understood his situation was set free from prison and given his old job back, working for the top man in Egypt, the Pharaoh. Remembering Joseph, he was able to get his friend freed from prison too. He went on to become second in command of the country he was brought into as a slave. As second in command, he was in charge of storing and sharing out food during a food shortage. And when a group of people from a nearby country came begging for food, he realised it was now his job to choose whether to feed his starving brothers who had sold him out all those years ago. Joseph, who had come through so much, could choose to take his revenge or be kind and help his hungry family. Amazingly, he decided to help his brothers and forgive them for everything they had done. I love the story of Joseph. He had a hard life, didn't he? I've never been sold as a slave or sent to prison, and after a few days stuck in isolation, I really don't think I would enjoy it. But the thing I really admire about Joseph is the way he did his best in every situation he found himself in. He had to get used to a lot of changes in his life, going from beloved son to slave to prisoner to Pharaoh's second in command. He must have felt like he was being squashed, squeezed and trampled on a lot of the time when his life changed so much. But here's the thing about Joseph. He could be squashed and squeezed into different places, but the stuff he was made of never changed. Stuff like his belief in God, his honesty, and how hard-working he was, and even his willingness to forgive. A bit like Play-Doh. You can make it into any shape you need, but the Play-Doh is still Play-Doh. That will never change. What are you made of? If you have Play-Doh at home, I challenge you to make your best Play-Doh model of yourself and think about what stuff you are made of that will never change when all the things around you do.